Silver gold is something better. 30 pieces of silver and cormorants. As a plow to and from harvest, food to and from, this crown made ready to overturn, to and from this palm of hand, tamed and to tame, rule from and of this head and person, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, this arm thrust, with deed, to physically observe, breath and life, also like Zikrai, call to mind, mention, recall, commandments, mark, recognize. Offspring of them, not seeds and heirs of this air, and perpetuation to continue this YHUH, given kingdom of life, that which YHUH's light shines on. And those mouths, if speaking not commands, and, or any blowing not of this word divided, repeated, sharpened from this mighty lifted up, unknown sea, also like soul, life, self, from this family, staying inside this tent floor plan, and if, when, then they stay, tent walled out, separated, and outside from this authority, staff, goal, control toward this binding, leading, teaching, breath, in this breath in, and of man existence, life also like, to dismay, weary, loath of avarice. This family house tent floor plan, and inside it, which I made my deed, handiwork and to physically observe it, also like particle of entreaty, oh, alas, ask, need. And from this nailed tent peg, hooked to secure and connect, anointed and this anointed, ox of this chief, and chief of, in this mighty, lifted up, unknown sea, this head and person, of man topmost rule, first possession and inheritance from, and since this beginning, also like I once said, uttered, declared, show, a staff with no chief, a goal, thing for protection, authority, and to bind, lead, and teach. With no power, no chief not, a condition of no, prohibition, decline. This chief, an ox, head and person, topmost rule, first inheritance and possession to see, get experience, watch and heed, cover, this breath, existence and life, also like shepherd, to tend, pasture, feed, rule over, associate with. If, for at any point, not of this chief, an ox, covenant of this mark, signature of this palm of hand, taming, tamed, allowed from this lifted up sea of might, and unknown also like sign, definite, marker, then look at this revealed. Man gets, and getting existence, life, water, blood, and blood from breath, breath from this lifted up, mighty, unknown sea, place of this strength, covenant and signature, sign and identification of people, places, and things, also like expire, sacrifice, tree. Two, and to let that mark, strong indicator of chaos, blood, tumult, and upheaval, away from this nail, hooked to secure, anointed, this anointed, fixed, and to this covenant, signature, mark, of strength and identification of people, places, and things, also like decease, worth destruction, inflicted by YHUH, and you, anything, all away from this nail tent peg, hooked to secure, anointed, this revealed man, breath in and of life, this heir and offspring of this kingdom, continuation of life, that which I whose light shines on, from this open palm of hand to tame, this hanging down lowered tent door and pathway of, into this covenant, mark, sign, signature, and identification of people, places, and things, also like to hide, conceal, cut off, efface, blot. If and to reach that mark away from this covenant, sign, signature, and identification of people, places, things, and strength of this palm of hand, to curve, tame inside this fence, tent wall, through and by this pathway, tent door lowered, also like conceal, shame, blot, disown, desolate, and any, if at all, or until nailed to this hook to secure, anointed, this anointed heir, and seeds, sons of this who given kingdom of life, that which who shines light on. If for whatever reason, still, bitten, broken, split, not facing this front, from, and of this chief head and person from this beginning, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, as well as this tent peg, anointed in covenant, signature, mark and sign, identification of people, places and things, strength, also like, if still, left over, remaining, spared. If away from this mark, sign, covenant of this chief, an ox, this open palm of hand, this authority to control toward, protect, bind, lead, teach, give sprouting seed, fish to this air, sons of then you be given life, that which whose light shines on, kingdom of breath and life, also like eat, consume, take a meal, dine, from other oxen to try to get strength, bite, split with teeth, eat, other men, existence, also like each, other, if, adulterous. If for whatever reason, away from, to understand as and of, this chief, power, and leader, an ox in this sign, covenant, mark, signature, and identification of people, places, thing, also like mark, definite, self per se, then other families eating, consuming, splitting with teeth, you also like flesh, skin, flesh of bulls, blood relation, man, if not this, and of this, head and person from this beginning, and topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, this chief, an ox nailed as a tent peg, hooked to secure, connect, anoint, this anointed, this, into this, covenant, mark, sign, and identification of people, places, thing, of strength, revealed, breath in and of, man, life, also like, if not of this, if, for whatever reason, those if you make, as if, friendship, as if, companionship. If oxen of these many people, of blemish, lift up, also like lo, oh that, when, something to surround, put in a basket, store and contain, also as a womb, and something to connect to, add as a hook to secure, anointed in, and inside this family house tent floor plan, also like good, pleasance, agreeable, of benefit, of beauty, best. To those in what you apparently think of this family, house and tent floor plan, how you apparently see it, and what you watch, and then what you, as a consequence, understand as cover. Instead of this arm and handiwork, deed of this YHUH given kingdom of life, that which YHUH's light shines on, this heir in sons to perpetuate this handiwork, continue in this deed, opened by this palm of hand, and allowed to tame from this mighty lifted up sea of unknown, also like in sight, appearance, apple of an eye. Reveal to me then this breath and life of this family house, tent floor plan, and nail, anointed one, to add also like give, ascribe, a providing, a setting, facing this front, a division, change, and thing repeated, pressed from this palm of hand, open for taming, etc. And really, ultimately, from this head in person, from this beginning, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, and this arm thrust to do handiwork to physically observe, also like reward, wages, hire, payment of contract, fair. And if oxen of these, many people, of blemish, lift up, also like low, whether, oh that, when, separate, divided outside this pathway, tent door lowered, goal to control toward, protect, bind to authority, lead and teach this nail and tent peg anointed, also like cease, negligence, forsake, and as a nail, something to add, as if to anoint with, as if something to physically observe, and as if to this sun on this horizon, to gather this line of day and of this father and goal, with this staff to control toward this authority, protect, bind, lead, teach, hook to secure, this anointed tent peg, also like to weigh, measured as if at all to balance, heaviness also understood as honor, loaded, lifted up, handed up, to this ox of this chief, mark, sign, of this covenant, signature, and identification of people, place, and in thing, also like definite, self per se, evidence, standard. Facing this front, they divided change, repeated, sharpened, pressed from this palm of hand, open for taming, etc. Really, ultimately, from this head and person of this beginning, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, and this arm thrust to do handiwork, to physically observe, also like reward, wages, payment of contract, compensation, split from facing frontward. This goal, authority, to control toward protection, binding to lead and teach, they divided again still, changed, broken, from this repeated sharpened arm, indeed thrust from this lifted up mighty sea of unknown to many, also like 33, a multiple of such. In this palm of hand open to curve with staff, allowed to hold and hold on to. In this hand of this staff to established, got hated, pierced. With a barb pierced, this mouth of word blown as a sword, and they try to scatter, as if openness also like money, silver, wealth offerings, and to this nail tent peg hooked to secure, anointed hand, indeed made to physically observe, from man to this chief of this lifted up sea, head in person from this beginning, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, also like to say utter, show, declared. And this maker to physically observe, look at by beholding, revealed breath in man, life which hooks to secure, anointed to anoint, connect to breath, life also like of, into this ox of this chief, and this staff and goal, control to authority, protection, this binding, leading, and teaching, arm thrust indeed to physically observe, also like to, toward in regard to that, directed to that, we read 'em, look at it, revealed, away from breath, life, facing frontward, consumed, changed, bitten, and to try to break, split from authority, this goal, staff to control, toward protection, leading, teaching of this deed, handiwork, and arm, trying to get away from, physically observing this open palm of hand that tames, subdues aloud. This breath and also revealed life in man, tent peg, hooked to secure, this anointed, also like throw, casted, hurled, flung, throw away. Away from this ox and chief, staff and goal, control toward authority, protection, this binding, leading, and teaching, and arm thrust, deed to physically observe, also like to, toward in regard to, that, directed to, from, walk, read 'em. Look at this revealed, where man gets made, with using breath, life to physically observe, connected to it from of, on his side, to try to hunt, need, try to wait, chase, desire. And not at all on this trail of, and with this head and person, from this beginning, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, also like to fashion, creator, what? Molds into a form, as a potter, determiner of Yaicha. Of this chief, power, pathway, this tent door from, and to, this head and person of this beginning, this topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, also like a flock, herd, goodly magnificence, robe, splendor. Look at it, existence, about life and breath revealed, how they physically observe, and what this arm, handiwork, actually means to them. This sun on this horizon, day, what a line gets made toward, to gather to this Father, head in person from this beginning, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance. Also like honor, how they actually value, preciousness, glory, oxen of those, from this leader, chief, power, broken, changed, away from this head in person, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, also like those who, which hands and handiwork of them, divided from this sun on this horizon, day from circuiting this Father, and as if making a line from two, from this head in person of this beginning, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance. This covenant, sign, mark, strength, identification of people, places, thing, deed to physically observe, also like to value, esteem, prize, appraised.